Welcome to Alasquatch, the show all about Bigfoot in the great state of Alaska. I'm your host, Beans Baxter. So lace up your boots, zip up your coat, and come with me on an adventure as we explore all things cryptid in the last frontier. Hey guys, welcome to Alasquatch. I know it's been a while since I've put anything out. I think, in fact, it's been over a month since I have sat down and recorded a podcast. I believe I put out a trail cam video or something recently, but other than that, I haven't sat down and done like a podcast video or put anything out in a while. And I guess we need to address that. We'll talk about that, do a little house cleaning with that. I have decided to take a little break from Bigfoot. Uh, Full disclosure, I was done. I was gonna quit. I was just done with Bigfooting and was just out. I was out. I wasn't going to do it anymore. I wasn't going to do any more videos. I wasn't going to do any more podcasts. I wasn't going to write any more Bigfoot books or anything like that. I was done. And I had agreed to do the event with Dan Toth, and so I was going to hang on till that. I think that was going to, I can't remember if it was at May. I was going to hang on and do that in May and then basically retire. Like I was going to be done with Bigfoot. And of course, we all know, Dr. Meldrum passed in September, and that kind of changed things. I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't give up. Like maybe I shouldn't quit. But I did decide that I was going to take a little bit of a sabbatical, a little break, and it continues. I'm breaking it to do this. I may do a couple of episodes here and there, but for the most part, I'm pretty much out of the Bigfoot game for the foreseeable future. And maybe this summer I'll go out and do some camping. I'm sure Chuk and Rob Roy and I will have a couple of expeditions up here in Alaska. But we'll see. Never say never. Don't count your chickens before they're hatched. But for the time being, I'm taking a little Bigfoot break. We'll see what happens with it, whether it becomes like a permanent separation or not. I'm trying to focus a little bit more on my writing, and for the most part, I have been. I've been writing more than I usually do. Not as much as I want to, but more than I usually do, which is good. And in fact, this is my writing time right now. Instead of writing, I'm spending it here with you recording this. So, I'm losing a day of writing basically to do this for you. But this is a tradition and we can't break it. So there's that. You guys might have noticed if you tried to go to alasquatchpodcast.com, it's no longer there. It's going to take you to an eBay profile, an eBay store, where I still have all the Alasquatch stuff and the books and all that still available for sale. You just have to buy it through eBay. The website was costing me about $300 a year, and has got to the point. It got to the point where it's not paying for itself. As long as it was maintaining itself, I was making maybe a little extra to pay for gas and food and stuff and equipment. That was fine, but it got to the point where it was no longer self-sustaining. So we made a decision to get rid of it. It just wasn't. It didn't seem to be helping. And I forgot to update it all the time anyway. Like I was really bad about updating the website. So I still own it. It's just not active. And if you want to buy something, an Alasquatch shirt, any of my books, you can still get them autographed, personalized. You're going to have to go to the Alasquatch eBay store, eBay profile, and get it done there. I'll try to remember to include a link to it in the show notes, but I think if you just type in alasquatchpodcast.com, it'll redirect you there because I still own the domain. So yeah, that's one of the big changes, along with, my little sabbatical I'm taking. And, I have to do the airing of the grievances, and excuse me, I've got an idea for another show that I'll probably get around to putting it out next month, in January. So, I'm not going away completely, but there's going to be a lot less of me. And judging by the amount of inquiries in my inbox, for people asking like where I've been and what I'm doing, nobody cares. So it's not that big of a deal. I'm screaming into the void here. So anyway, guys, as you know, every year, right before the new year gets here, I like to sit down. I like to record a little episode that I like to call the airing of the grievances, where I take things from the previous year that have irritated me or vexed me pertaining to Bigfoot, the Bigfoot community, and we talk about it. I get it out there, and we put it into the universe, and then we hopefully go into the new year and encounter a bunch of new problems, which who knows how long the sabbatical is going to go on. I might not I might not have any grievances next year. Like if I'm not in it, maybe I won't get aggravated. So, anyway, I think that's all the housekeeping I have. I hope everybody had a good Christmas. I had a good Christmas. Um, everything's going fine. We've had some cold weather here. It's about 13 degrees right now. Uh, Lower than that with the wind chill. We were in the negatives. I don't think we're quite in the negatives now. It might be zero with the wind chill. I just had to turn my little space heater off back here so that it wouldn't be getting picked up by the mic. But yeah, it's cold. It's been cold. Uh, the dogs are just miserable. They like to go out and play every day in the afternoon, and the last couple of days I've taken them out, and they've lasted about 8 minutes or so, and then they get too cold, and their little paws they're like lifting them up off the ground, and so we got to bring them in because it's too cold for them to be outside. So anyway, hopefully it's a little bit warmer where you're at, and I think we're supposed to have uh, not a week from now. We're supposed to get, I guess, another winter storm with some snow. We had, I believe, it for the first time since I've lived in Alaska. We had a um, not white Christmas. We had a little bit of snow in the backyard, and a little bit in like the tree lines where it didn't melt. But I could see grass in my yard for the first time ever in Alaska on Christmas. And we had, I think it was the day after Christmas, we had uh, like 5 or 6 inches of snow. So everything's as it should be now. We've got snow on the ground, but it was a little weird not having snow on the ground on Christmas. But I think we're on a course correction now, and we're going to get a week from now. We're supposed to get hammered, or we're supposed to get like depending on the what time of day I check the weather. We're going to either get like 8 to 10 inches of snow or like 12 to 15. So we'll see. I think that's supposed to hit next Monday. But anyway, guys, let's get into the airing of the grievances for 2025. Uh, it was kind of a strange year. It was um, it was one of those years where I tried. Now that I know that I do the grievances, the airing of the grievances, I try to keep track of them throughout the year, and I'll kind of like just make a list. And these are not really in any particular order. Um, Although number one is number one. Number one is there for a reason, but everything else is just kind of almost like a rambling, like, oh, I didn't line like that. And oh yeah, I'm gonna document that because I didn't like that. Everything else is just kind of a weird uh, stream of consciousness ramblings. But anyway, number 10, and every year I think there's kind of almost like a theme to the list, to the grievances. And this year, I think you'll see one, and we'll talk about it toward the end. But hint, hint, with number 10, and that's something that happens quite a bit, is the lack of communication with people that you're dealing with and working with. And I'll tell this story to accentuate that grievance. Uh, had a gentleman reach out to me that I guess does specializes in a particular field. I had found some evidence or collected some evidence. Clarify, I collected some evidence, and it was in this gentleman's particular field, and he had been basically told to contact me and get this evidence, get all the documentation from that. And I had written a report, I had taken photos, and I had collected the evidence. So he contacts me. He's like, "Hey, can you please send me everything you have?" I'm like, "Absolutely, I'll send you everything I have. Not the evidence, but the photos and the report and all that." So I do. I get it all together. I send it to him, and then I was like, "This is it. This is all I have." Like almost immediately, emails me, "Do you have any more photos?" No, this is all I have. You told me to send you everything. I told you I sent everything. Why are you asking for more? Like, maybe check with these other people that were there with me when this happened, but I don't have any more. I told you I didn't have any more. And haven't heard from the dude since. Like, not a word, not a peep. And I'm like, okay, so how many times I keep doing these things for people where I collect evidence or I look at things or I do these things, and then there's never any follow-up. There's never any, oh, by the way, this we found this, or oh, by the way, we sent that to this person and it come back like this. There's never any follow-up. And I'm like the redheaded stepchild here because all these things that I'm like the Forrest Gump of Bigfoot. I'm attached to it, and it makes a big like deal, but I'm not the center focus of it, and then I get forgotten and I don't get any follow-up. Like the handprint, like who knows what's going on with that? Has it been determined that it's human? Is it not human DNA? Who knows? You know who's not going to find out? Freaking beans. Nobody's going to let me know. So anyway, th- that happens a lot. There's just no communication. It's like people get what they want from you, and then who are you? So anyway, we're done with that one. No communication. That's the theme. Spoiler alert. So number 9 is the audacity of some people. If you're familiar with Charlotte Dobre, my wife has like introduced me to her. Like I was watching her with her, and she does this thing where she's like, the audacity, where people just do this crazy stuff. And this one, man, I've been doing it wrong, guys. I'm sitting here, I'm complaining about my website not making enough money to sustain itself. Like I can't, it's not bringing in the $300 a year that I need to pay for the domain and the fees and all that stuff to keep it up. And apparently all I need to do is just get on the internet and be like, hey guys, I need $300. Can you send me $300? Actually, no. Can you send me $1,000? Cause I do have to keep the website up. And then, I'd like to, I don't know, buy another tomahawk or something with it. Can you just give me some money? Cause I saw a dude the other day on social media basically saying like, yeah, I'm gonna film this documentary. I'm gonna film a cryptid documentary, and yeah, I need an RV for like 6 months to live in. Has anybody got one I can have? It's like the audacity. Holy crap. I don't look, there are people out there that I would take a bullet for. Okay. I would die for. But if I had an RV, I don't think there's anybody out there that I would just be like, here, take my RV for 6 months and go have fun. Thanks. Like, see you later. I don't expect anything in return. Don't worry about filling it up with gas when you bring it back. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. Kickstarter's okay if you give people something for their money. You know what I'm saying? I've seen Kickstarters where it's just like give us money and then buy it when it comes out. Like pay us to make this thing, and then you gotta pay for it when it comes out. Not like give us money to produce it, and then you'll get one when it comes out. Man, I've um I've had a couple of events like that, not Kickstarter, but other like GoFundMe's and stuff, where people have been like, "Oh yeah, I'm making this documentary," and I'm like, "Oh, that sounds pretty interesting," and I know this person, and I'll give them money, and it just never comes out. I'm still waiting. There was one, I can't remember the name of it. That guy from OK Talk was like making a documentary. It said something about devil's den, devil's anus. I don't know, devil's something. And I think Shannon LeGros was part of it too. I gave that money. I gave that dude some money, and I think that was like we might be creeping up on the decade mark, and it's not done. And I think I talked to him like a couple of years ago, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just, I'm taking my time. I want to do it right. I'm looking for like the right editor or something." And I'm like, "Dude, you filmed it 3 years ago. Like, you you could have done it yourself by now. Like, you could have got good enough to do it at that point." But anyway, yeah, people just ask for what. I mean, I guess hey, what's the worst that happens? They say no. I don't know. The worst that could happen is somebody gives you a freaking $100,000 RV, and then you wreck it, and then you can't pay for it, and then you spend the rest of your life trying to pay off this freaking RV that somebody just gave you out of the kindness of their heart. I don't know. Ah, um, Next item on the list is white knights. Holy crap! Have you guys like seen these like people? Because so look, we're talking about money again. Um, I've done a lot of speaking engagements, and I don't think, other than like maybe having my meals and my lodging paid for, I don't think I've ever like got paid. Like nobody's ever like handed me money and said, "Here is your fee." But I do like, like the website, I like for this hobby to try and sustain itself. I don't want to spend a bunch of money, especially money that I don't have, on something that is not, it's not going to benefit me. Um, and there's always that like, when I go to a conference or when I do something, when I do a speaking thing, like I want to set up a table so that I can hopefully get reimbursed for some of those travel expenses and gas and food and stuff like that. And there's a lot of people out there that see that as like a bad thing. They're like, "Well, I don't charge for my, speaking, or I don't charge for my appearances, and blah blah blah." And that's great. If you can afford to do it for free and you do it for free, hey, that's great, man. Keep on doing it. Um, it's weird that I don't see you speaking at more places that since you do it for free, but whatever. Uh, but yeah, it's just that weird, like, I am better than you because I do it for free. Well, if you're good at something, you're not supposed to do it for free. Didn't you know that? The Joker said that. And then, people, when Dr. Meldrum passed away, the same thing happened when Stan Lee died. Like when somebody passes away and it's somebody you knew or somebody you met or interacted with, people will tend to post those pictures like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry to hear about the passing of Stan Lee or Dr. Meldrum." And then you post the picture of you with that person. And there's it's become this thing where it's like, "Oh yeah, you're trying to insert yourself, you're trying to make it about you." No. Like I just like that's my connection to this person. I met them once. We had a conversation. It made them happy. I touched their life. They touched mine. Now they're gone. It makes me sad. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand that. Like, oh, and like other people, I'm not going to make it about myself. I'm just going to post some pictures of the man. by himself because he stands alone. It's like, that is so freaking cringy. I don't charge for my appearances. I do it for free. In fact, I pay the attendees to listen to me. I don't know. Anyway, the white knights. I don't get it. White knighting anything. Like, and again, oh, I forgot to give my disclaimer. Anyway, again, I'm gonna give the disclaimer. I should, pretend I gave this like 10 minutes back. I understand I may have done or do some of the things on this list. Nobody's perfect. And I understand when you point a finger, you got three pointing back at you. That's why I use a perfectly executed and well maintained knife hand. But anyway, I know people are going to be like, well, but Beans, one time you said this, or you did this, or you did that. Yeah, I know. I know. It's a funny podcast that nobody listens to, guys. Don't worry about it. So, which brings me to number 7, continuing on our theme, which I've already spoiled, which is communications. Making plans with people and not communicating. Now, you guys know, I think I've made it pretty clear through the years that I'm a planner, I'm a schemer. Like, I like to do things and I don't like to deviate from the plan. I'm not like one of these people that's like, I'm going to just walk out the door and see where my feet take me. I'm like, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to spend this amount of time, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to spend this amount of time, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to get there via this way, and I'm going to take this equipment with me, and I'm going to use that equipment for this. And then when I'm done, then maybe we'll see if there's any time for like exploring or lollygagging or, going off the script. But I like to do things. I like to, I mean, I was military and then a police officer. So I guess take a drink. Beans mentioned military and police. I like to do things, in an orderly fashion. I like order. So it drives me crazy when I'm trying to plan something with somebody and I'm like, what time, just right time, right place, that right uniform. That's all you need. That's all you need. That's all you need to know. If you do that, if you exercise that throughout life, it will take you pretty freaking far. Right time, right place, right uniform. And making plans with people that are not orderly and schemers like me or not planners is a freaking nightmare. What time do you want me there? Oh, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Especially here in Alaska, like for me to go anywhere else where other people are is usually like a 3 to 4 hour drive. So I've got to make plans, man. Like I have to okay, I need somebody to watch the dogs. I need, I need to take this vehicle because it gets better gas mileage, or I need to take that vehicle. I'm going to need 4-wheel drive, and studs. So I'm going to have to take my truck or, whatever. And then people are just like, oh, I don't know, we'll just live, we'll meet there around 3-ish or something. I don't know. Stand by. Well, where are we going to meet? I haven't figured it out yet. Like, communicate, plan, communicate, execute. It's just, tell people what you expect of them and when you expect them there and what you need them to bring. Not this, I don't know, we'll figure it out. It's like, I left the house 2 hours ago and now you're telling me I need to do this. Like, if you want me there at that time, like, you should have told me earlier, like maybe a month ago when we were making the plans. But anyway, next one on the list, I think we're at number 6 now. This is an interesting one that I'm trying to decide how much I want to talk about this. So again, talking about money, I understand, everybody's got hobbies. Everybody's got things that you spend money on. That's not Bigfooting, things like that. I mean, look, I've got my toy shelf over there. I've got toys over here. Most of these, though, honestly, most of these that you see here have all been they're all 10 10 plus years old, probably. They were probably bought before I retired. Like, basically, when I retired, I like cut my spending. Like I basically try to buy only what I need to survive. And my, what do you call it, disposable income uh, pretty much goes either towards Bigfoot stuff or, like family stuff. So, and I understand, like, people that are into Bigfoot, a lot of them expect you like to spend all of your money and time on Bigfoot stuff. Like I get so many questions. People that remember the video I did about the rest area in Canada. I get so many. That's probably my most commented on video, and the most people that send me messages like, "When are you going back to that rest stop? When are you going back there?" And I want to go back there. I really do. But it's like an 18-hour drive in another country. It's not like I could just pack up and go. Like, this is going to be a multi-day trip, and I would like someone to go with me. And I don't know, it's a big undertaking to drive 18 hours, or it's either 12 or 18, doesn't matter. Long freaking no, it's definitely not 12. It's 10 hours to get to Fairbanks. I think it is closer to 18 hours. It might even be more than that. It's like an 18-hour drive plus. I think it's more than that. 18 hours plus to drive there. I can't just pack up and go. I want to. I'd love to go back there. That was a great place to I think investigate, and I'd like to investigate it again. But again, that's a huge commitment. I've got to not only do I have to. That's a lot of wear and tear on my vehicle. It's probably a couple thousand-mile trip, round trip, and to pay for all that gas. I don't know how much gas it is. It's probably several $100s, if not in the thousands. And time away from home, time away from work, time away that I'm not going to be able to generate money while I'm gone. I can't just pack up and do it. It's a big undertaking. It's probably more financially responsible for me to go to the lower 48 and do something than it is to drive back there to that area. But anyway, I'm diverging here from my original point. But anyway, my point is people that complain, like I'm right now, I'm complaining about not having any money. I'm complaining about being broke. And you see people do that, people that produce content, produce Bigfoot stuff, and they're oh, this is so expensive, that's so expensive, the doing this is so expensive, doing that's so expensive. And then they flex, like they show like, oh my god, look at this new vehicle I just bought. Because I was going to work with somebody, and we were going back and forth, and negotiation. I don't know if any of you guys have ever like negotiated, like done like a negotiation with like money and stuff. It freaking sucks, especially if it's somebody you consider a friend, because it's your friend. You want to give them like a good deal, but also it's like, I have to make some money on this. I can't just like do stuff for free. And so anyway, I had thrown out a number at these people. And that's another thing. Like, they say in a negotiation, like never give the first number. Well, that's true unless I think you have like a cat, like I cannot go over this amount. It's like you might need to throw out a number, because the number you get might be, holy cow, that's a lot more than I expected. Anyway, I was going to work with these guys. I was like, hey, here, they're like, what do you want? How much do you need? And I'm thinking like, oh, like they want to pay me for my time. So I like wrote up a little thing like, oh, this is how much I'm going to have to drive. And this is how much, it's going to cost. And, you're going to get you're going to get like use of my vehicle. You're going to get basically my knowledge of the area, as a tour guide. I'll be able to help with the logistics, equipment, anything like that. So I was like, pay for my food and give me this amount of money. And they were basically like, yeah, okay, well, we'll just use it for the one day then. Because it was supposed to be like a 2-week gig or something. And So I was kind of, that kind of like hurt. I like, why didn't you just come back with like, well, we can't afford that. How about, a lower number? Or, how about we just, and that would have been fine. But then they're just like, no, we'll just use you for one day. Like, we're not going to negotiate with you. We're just going to basically cut you out of the production. Uh, and then, so that happens. And then the very next day, the person involved in all this is like, look at my new car. Look at this new camera I bought to film this new project with. It was like a $5,000 camera or something. And then my new car. Oh, and look at these new toys I bought. These like $800 collectible toys. So I know why they couldn't afford me now. Like, I get it. But if you're gonna like complain about being poor or being like how much everything costs, and then flex all your like new toys, that that doesn't compute, man. It doesn't work. But whatever. I mean, look, other than like the electronics I have in front of me, that tomahawk right there is the most expensive thing that, like, one of the most. It's also one of my prized possession, expensive things in this room. It was a gift. Like, I didn't pay for that. A lot of this stuff was gifts or stuff that was like sent to me or give to me. Most of the toys over there I bought, but those aren't like $800 collectibles either. Those are like $20, $30 Batmans and Supermans, and there's a Moon Knight statue over there that's probably worth $100 or something. But yeah, like, don't cry about being poor and then flex all your new stuff online. I'm sure somebody other than me has had to have like caught on to that. Although I haven't seen anybody like point it out. But holy cow. Like, the audacity. Maybe that's going to be the theme. um Number 5. Man, what do I do about number 5? All right, guys. So, I, again, take a drink. I'm going to mention being in the military and being a police officer. I was in the military. I was a police officer. Both of those careers, there's definitely like a culture of drinking alcohol. It's definitely a thing, like soldiers, I always talk about, drinking and partying, and, cops, always, like, oh, you come home, you have a couple beers after shift or whatever, or you go out with your partner and have a few drinks. And, I get that. I understand. Um, I still occasionally enjoy the occasional um, alcoholic beverage or wobbly pop. We just had the Christmas season, and, I went to the store and bought some adult eggnog and some, adult beverages. And I imbibed a little bit, had a little Christmas cheer. Um, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's fine. You just have to be smart about it. And it's probably the first time I've had alcohol in months. Probably, I don't even remember. Like, I don't even remember the last time I bought alcohol prior to the stuff I got for Christmas. Um, and that's the thing. Like, since I retired, like, I barely drink anymore. Like, hardly ever. And I think a lot of the drinking I did was probably because of the job. And I think, well, it's funny because like when I was working uh, before I retired, like, I was basically working so much, and I was on call all the freaking time, so I couldn't drink, and I was about to lose my damn mind because I was freaking like so stressed, but I couldn't drink. I couldn't unwind. I couldn't relax, but I was on call all the time. And then, like, when I retired, I was like, I can drink all I want, and I was like, okay, well, I'm done with that. I don't want to do that anymore. So it was what a vicious cycle, I think. So anyway, I there's a lot of what I'm trying to get at here, guys, is that I think there's a lot of substance abuse, particularly alcohol, in the Bigfoot community. I think there's a lot of people out there, both researchers, influencers, people that imbibe. There's definitely been a few times when somebody has, you know, got on Facebook or another social media platform, was maybe a little, had imbibed a little bit too much, and said some things they probably shouldn't have, or posted some things they shouldn't have, or did some things they shouldn't have, and there's basically a list out there of known um, lushes in the Bigfoot community. There's people, you know, I could pick my phone up and text so and so and be like, "Oh, what's up with this guy or that guy?" And oh, he must be drinking again. It's just one of those things. He does that every once in a while, and I'm kind of surprised about how much of it there is in the Bigfoot community, and how many people, hide their drinking, or not very well, but they don't really talk about it. They don't address it. It's just, what do? They wake up in the morning like, "Ooh, I shouldn't have posted that. Damn, delete, delete, do the dirty delete." But there's a lot more of it than I imagined in the Bigfoot community, and it's one of those things where it's like, man, everybody needs at one point to just sit down, take a look at your life, and be like, what is there anything that needs to change? And you know, it's hard. The hardest thing is admitting that you have a problem. Um, I never sought treatment or got any help or anything for my drinking. I never felt I needed to, and it's one of those things, I can take it or leave it. I I can go months without drinking, and then I'll buy some alcohol and I'll drink it over a few days, and then it's gone, and I don't buy any more for months. So it's just not something that I've really ever struggled with or had a problem with. Same thing with smoking. I've smoked several times in my life, cigarettes, and military. Everybody smokes in the military, and it was just something I was like, well, I don't want to smoke anymore, so I'm gonna stop, and I just stopped. I don't know. I mean, I definitely have an addictive personality. I'm addicted to food for sure. But as far as like habits like that, I've never really had a huge problem walking away from them. At least, not for very long periods of time. I don't remember the last time I had a cigarette. But yeah, I mean, take a look at yourself, and if you're hiding it from other people, or it's causing you to do like the dirty delete, or you're sending those texts that you maybe regret, or doing stuff that you wouldn't do when you weren't drinking. If you're doing them when you're drinking, and then you regret it, you might just need to stop and take a look at things, and reevaluate and get some help. And that's the hardest part, is asking for help. I dealt with a lot of people that were addicted to things, alcohol, drugs, what have you. And denial was the biggest problem. And it's not just a river in Egypt. I mean, people were just like, I'm like, as a police officer, I'm like telling somebody like, dude, every time you drink, I like, we have contact. Like every time you get drunk, I'm at your house. Do you think maybe you might have, no, no, no. And then, they're like, next weekend, I'm going to have another party, or I'm going to have a party next weekend. And it's just like this unending cycle. And this like blindness, this, like almost like they got blinders on that there's a problem. And I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but there's some of you out there, man. You need to do some self reflection, and just put it down. Put the bottle down. Um, you need to have that drink when you want that drink, not when you need that drink. If you know what I'm saying. So anyway, I feel like there was something else I was gonna add on to that, but I can't remember what it was. But yeah, there's definitely a surprising amount of substance abuse in the Bigfoot world. People that are Bigfoot enthusiasts, that enjoy imbibing, and hopefully they're not doing it out in the woods that much. But don't get me wrong, man. Like I love like doing a hard day's work. Like you're working outside, you're or setting up camp or something that's hot, and you get done, and then you sit down and you crack open a really cold beer. Like that is a great feeling, and I love it. And I would hate for anybody not to be able to enjoy that. Um, but yeah, it can be a problem. So, hardest step is recognizing that problem. All right, moving on. Number 4. Oh God, this was almost number 1. This was almost number 1. Um, so there was this conference going on. Um, so you guys know I was born and raised in Kentucky, and I saw where there was going to be a conference held, like literally like 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes from where I grew up. And it wasn't a Bigfoot conference. So let me there is a Bigfoot conference that's going to be near where I grew up, and I believe I am going to be at that. But this was not a Bigfoot conference, but it was like a conference, a paranormal conference that was going to be just down the road from where I grew up. I mean, like easy driving distance, like 30, 40 minutes away. Um, and they were like, hey, we're looking for vendors and anybody, like people that want to speak or whatever. So I think like, oh my God, like this is like in my backyard. It'll be great. I need to go home. I need to visit family. This is just down, like I won't even have to get a hotel. I can stay with my cousin and his wife. They're great people. They let me stay there all the time. Like I can stay there and I can do the conference. It'll be great. So I reach out to the conference organizer. I'm like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I've done. I'd love to come and speak. If not, I'd just like to get a vendor. I'll do a vendor table. I'll just do a vendor. I'll be a vendor. But I'd love to come speak. I'll do it for free. You don't even have to pay me. Just give me a table. I'll be there. Don't hear anything wrong. Finally, like they post something like, hey, we're still looking for vendors if anybody's interested. And I was like, well, maybe they didn't like get my application or something. So I send a message. I'm like, hey, like I would like to speak or have a vendor table there. Like I haven't heard back from anybody. I'm kind of, I'd like to make my travel arrangements as soon as possible because the longer you wait, the more expensive it gets. And I got a message back basically like, yeah, you weren't chosen to be a vendor. And again, like, I know I'm not Dr. Meldrum. I'm not, Cliff Barrickman. I'm not like famous, but one, I'm from that, like I just up the road I grew up, and I'm willing to come there and speak for free. I've been on TV, like come on guys, like who else are you gonna get that's as famous as me? I don't think they had anybody. Well, I don't want to say that because I don't consider myself famous, but I don't think they had anybody as more well known than I am. Maybe one person. But I don't know. I don't know what the deal was with that, but I was like incensed. I'm like, holy cow, like you offer to come and do this event for free. They say no, and then they're still looking for people. Like, what does that mean? Like, is this somebody I went to high school with and they're like mad at me or something? Like that was humbling and insulting all at the same time. So anyway, that place can go screw all the way off, and I will never go there for anything. But there is going to be a Bigfoot conference not far from where I grew up in 2026, and I'll probably be at that. I haven't worked out all the details yet. I'll be announcing that probably pretty soon. But yeah, this one, like, what a cluster. I was incensed. Like, come on, guys. Like, I'm offering to do this for free. I've got a best-selling book. I've been on TV. What else do you want? uh, how look at like Google my name. Look how many podcasts I've been on. Jesus. Oh, so anyway, we're gonna go to the next one, which is earlier this year. Somebody posted some pictures of some suspected Bigfoot tracks. I believe I can't remember somewhere in New England, maybe New Hampshire. I don't remember. And basically, somebody that's pretty prominent in the Bigfoot field uh, basically said they were authentic Sasquatch tracks. Like that's the word they use, like authentic. These are authentic Sasquatch tracks. And I had a chance to talk to Dr. Meldrum about it, and he was. I thought they were rabbit. I thought it was a rabbit track, like rabbits bounding. Dr. Meldrum seemed to think it was like some kind of like a deer or maybe a moose or something like that. And the tracks were like the pictures were terrible. Like there was like hardly any detail to them. But that kind of stuff, like just these are authentic Sasquatch. Like that doesn't do us any favors because it's basically just a big blob in the snow. There's no like toe definition. Like they were horrible tracks, and to deem them authentic, especially somebody who is considered probably one of the prominent members of the community as far as people know who they are, because this guy can walk into any farmhouse in America and don't know who they are, allegedly. So I don't know, that kind of stuff. It just hurts us all. You got to be careful with your language. That's what I try and do that. I don't always do it, but I try. I say I think this might be legit. In my opinion, this might be legit. You never want to talk in absolutes unless you're absolute. Like if I saw the Bigfoot make the track and I went over there and took a picture, I'd say that's a Bigfoot track. Like I saw the Bigfoot make the track. But if I didn't see whatever made the track, I would say, hey, look, this track looks legit. I don't know. I didn't see what made it. It doesn't look like a bear track to me. I don't see why there would be or how there could be like a barefoot person in this vicinity. Like it seems pretty legit to me. It's my opinion. But that's about as much conviction that you would get out of me unless I actually saw the Bigfoot make the track or saw the Bigfoot with my own eyes and got it on film. I would never say that is 100% legit, real, authentic. Like you've always got to leave that little bit of wiggle room in there. And I see that a lot. Like when you talk with a lot of the more, I don't say sane, grounded experts, like Dr. Meldrum or like Cliff, you show them a picture and you're like, man, I think this is good. This is pretty legit. Because I showed Cliff a picture one time that Will Ulmer had taken that I thought had an amazing mid-tarsal break in it, like a perfect example. And I'm like, man, look at this. Like, I think this is a great mid-tarsal break here. And he's like, well, it could be. It could be. It does kind of look like that. I mean, like the guy would not commit. The guy would not say, yeah, it's a good, because he's waiting for me to go, ha, I got you. I made that track outside 10 minutes ago with, I took my shoe off and made it myself. He's waiting for that gotcha moment. So I understand why they're like that. And then you got the other side of the spectrum where this dude gets like pictures of a known animal sent to him, and he's like, "It's authentic Bigfoot track. It's authentic." So no wonder we are where we are today. Like, no wonder Beans is taking a sabbatical. Yeah. All right. And then, holy smokes! On the same token as that, like today, like December, I think it's the 28th. I've seen the same freaking story with two AI generated images. One's like a thermal and one's a footprint. I've seen the same story making like the rounds, and people like, oh, that's a Bigfoot. Oh my God, look at this, look at this. And the story comes from some hunting page, hunting blog or something. And it references like the Tennessee, like I don't know, what do you call it? What are they? Their wildlife department, Tennessee Wildlife Department, or TWD or something like that. And they're like, it's like people are like saying, or because the story says Texas Wildlife Department officials have confirmed that these are like, this is like big authentic Bigfoot evidence or something like that. And so people are reposting it and saying they're quoting the post that not you've got to go to the source. You have to go find the Texas Wildlife Department officials saying that. You have to go find where they said that. Then it's official. Somebody saying they said it doesn't make it official. Like if they made a press release or something like that, hey, go for it. But first, I mean, the pictures are AI as hell. Like they look terrible, like really bad. Mainly, I think that's the reasons why I've seen mainly like older people going with it. Like it's pretty bad. But there's this skit going around with this guy, and he's looking in the mirror and he goes, I was house sitting one time and I watered a plastic plant for a week. I have no chance against AI. And, and that's some of these people. Like it's just like you look at that and it's like, oh, that's clearly AI. Like it's very, I mean, it just looks, I can't even express to you how I know it's AI. It's just something you look at and you're like, that's AI. It's got that like glossy, like almost cartoonish look to it. And people are like, oh, it says the Texas Wildlife Commission says there's Bigfoot. So I guess the Texas Wildlife Commission says there's Bigfoot. This is what happens when you have freedom of speech. We got to go back. We screwed it up. So, yeah, maybe Britain's got the right idea. Anyway, somebody's got to take that out of context. So we're at number one, guys. We're at the number one grievance for the last year. Technically, I think this spans over a couple of years, but this is it. It's again, it's not my grievance. It's a grievance that I have for somebody else, basically. Like this is a grievance that something that happened to somebody else that makes me angry because this person's my friend. Look, remember earlier when I was talking about, the flexing and, like this is, making making encrypted documentaries is so hard because everything's so expensive. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to feed my family. And, this is getting so, it's just getting so hard to make these documentaries. And anyway, here's my new $6,000 camera and brand new, $60,000 car. That's where we're going. So a friend of mine has done a lot of work for somebody in Cryptid Productions that does documentaries, shows, stuff like that. And this guy has bent over backwards to accommodate them. He's opened up his home. He has done, voice work on several projects, one of which I guess got like, he did the voice work and then they didn't use it, so he did this like voice work for a project, sent it off. He got some updates, about the project, I guess. And then they announced like, oh, hey, we're going to have this premiere for this project at this place at this time. And my friend was like, I'm going to go to the premiere. Like I should, like I narrate the film. Like I should probably be there. So, I can watch it on the big screen. And for whatever reason, he didn't go there, or maybe they sent him a screener copy or something. I don't remember, but basically they didn't use his voice. They didn't tell him, but they didn't use his voiceover. And I just remember him like, I would have been so mad if I'd have paid to travel to the lower 48 to watch this movie premiere and then sitting there and found out that they didn't use my voiceover, it would have broke his heart. I mean, I think his heart was broken anyway that they didn't use his voiceover, but they didn't even tell him. I mean, they just didn't even, oh, hey, you know what? We really appreciate that, but we're going to go with somebody else. But here's the thing, guys. Not only did they not use his voice work, but they have used his voice work for other projects. And they've told him that they were going to pay him for said voice work. And he has not received one single dime for the voice work. So they're basically using, I would almost call it slave labor. Again, he's opened up his home. He's, let them drive his vehicles. He has done bent over backwards for these people and nothing, not nothing. And then, when they come back into town, they're like, oh, hey, let's go stay with Beans' buddy because, he's let us stay there in the past. And, it's just the way it is, and at a certain point, it stops being friendly and starts being like taking advantage of someone, their hospitality. uh you know it's just it's and a lot of people in Alaska deal with this. You live in Alaska and you get people coming up in the summer and they're like, oh, hey, can we stay with you? And you get these guests that just don't leave or whatever, and they just hang around, and you're like, when are these people going to get? Most people that I know, honestly, they have like a rule, like 2 weeks. You get 2 weeks. Some people are just a week. Like you get X amount of days, and then you got to go. Like, we'd love to have you, but you only get so many days, and then you got to leave because you don't want people coming up here and just basically taking over your house for an entire summer. But the fact is, I'm a big believer in, do what you say and say what you mean, or do what you, something like that. I don't know. But if you tell somebody, hey, I'm going to pay you for this work, I mean, it's a verbal contract, and then technically it's a binding contract as far as most states and laws go. And then you don't do it. I mean, one, it says something about you as a person, but two, you know, who does that to a friend? You know what I'm saying? Like I do a lot of, like most of the stuff I do with like I said, most of the conferences I speak, I do it for free. Maybe they pay for my travel or my meals or something, but you know, I understand they're not going to be able to pay me, especially like new conferences that are just starting out the first year. But at the same time, if they tell me they're going to do something for me, they better do it. Like that was the deal. Like we had a deal. And unless there's like some extenuating circumstances to why they can't do it, it's unacceptable. Like you have to honor your word. Like if you say something, if you tell somebody they're going to do it, you're going to do it, then you're going to do it. Like one of the things I'll tell you guys, when one of the first productions that I ever took part in, you guys will be able to probably piece this together. While we were making it, the person that put it together, financed it, and shot it, he told all of us, like all of us in the cast, he said, once this makes its money back, you guys will get residuals, you guys will get royalties. And I never asked for any money. It was my impression, I was doing this for free, didn't expect anything, wasn't in writing. I was just doing it for the experience. And then he said that. He said, well, once this makes its money back, you're going to get, you got, all of you are going to get residuals. And I always had that in the back of my mind, like, well, we'll see. And, the documentary came out, some time went on, and I'm having a conversation with the guy one time, and he says like, oh yeah, that it made its money back. I actually made some money on it. And I'm like, oh, okay, sweet. And I'm thinking like now he's going to go into like, yeah, I'm going to start, you guys are going to start getting your residuals or royalties or whatever you call it. I don't even remember. And never said a word about it. Never mentioned it. Never brought it up again. And of course, like I said, I didn't expect anything. It wasn't preconceived, like I didn't. But again, if you tell somebody you're going to do something, do it. I could probably sue the guy because everybody would agree with me because everybody heard him say it. And we could probably go after him and probably get some money. But what's the point? What does it matter? Like I said, I didn't expect anything. I didn't do it for money. Um, but again, if you tell somebody you're going to pay them, pay them. If you can't pay them, explain it. Explain why you can't pay them. Don't just ignore them and then expect them to, oh, hey, I'm coming up to Alaska. Can I stay with you again? I mean, it's mooching, at that point. You're just taking advantage of people. Um, and you're not offering, it, so one of my big beefs with mainstream like Discovery Channel, Travel Channel, when they do TV shows and stuff like that, whenever they're trying to court you and get you to do the project, they always say like, "You'll get to be on TV." Like they always use that. Like I'm with a production company in Hollywood, California. Like, and I'm like, I don't give a shit. Give me some money. Pay me for my time, and they never will. They never want to. They always want it. Being on TV is its own reward. And it's like, you know what? I've been on TV a lot. Now it's time to make some money from being on TV. And it's the same thing, only it's independent. It's the same song and dance. It's like, well, we'll put you in our documentary. You get to be in the documentary. Isn't that fun? Don't you want to be on YouTube and Amazon Prime and all these other places? And don't you want like people in other states seeing you, and then you get bombarded on Facebook and social media with all these other like crazy nuts that are obsessed with Bigfoot, wanting to, messaging you at 3 a.m, like, let me ask you something. What do you think Bigfoot is? Or why did you say this? Or have you ever been back to that rest stop? Or have you ever, I mean, it's just a nonstop barrage. But you know what? You just do it for the love of the game, right? You don't need any money, like, that tank of gas that we sucked up out of your car driving it around, and all that food we ate while we were staying at your place, it's all good. It's for the love of the game. You think about all the rewarding experiences you had in Alaska and the place that you live anyway, and doing the things that you could have done easily without us. Anyway, that's it. That's my final grievance is, don't take advantage of people. Pay them for their time, pay them for their effort. If you can't, acknowledge it. Don't ghost them. Don't freaking, I don't know. Just be a decent human being. Okay. How about that? Just be a decent human being. I guess, if you got your millions of dollars in camera equipment and your new car and your room full of toys, I guess that's, what more do you need? You don't need friends. Yeah. All right, guys. That's all I got for this year. We're putting it out there. It's in the universe. We're going to start over January 1st. New slate, new year. See how that goes. I don't know. I know I just finished all that griping, so now I'm like, this sabbatical may be indefinite. I don't know. I'm sure I'll be back. I'll be back sooner than I expect, probably. I think I've got a pretty decent idea for an episode that I've wanted to do for a long time. I've just never sat down and done it. I think I've talked about it a little bit here and there, but I've never like actually did a whole episode about it. So I think that'll probably be coming out in January. Again, if you want to help support me, which a lot of you don't, apparently, AlaskaWatchPodcast.com should take you to the eBay store where you can purchase stuff, books. You can get them personalized, all that good stuff. And if you purchased something from me before, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And you don't have to do it again. Once is enough. Thank you so much. But yeah. Anyway, guys, the beans abides, and happy New Year. Hope everybody had a good Christmas, and I'll be back eventually with another episode. But don't hold your breath, because you probably won't survive that long. All right, guys, later.